Hey there folks, welcome to Due Devs. In this video, I will share 9 tips on how to become a great developer in 2021. I get this question a lot where people say that, hey, I don't think I'm that good developer. Hey, I think I'm a mediocre developer and could you share some tips on how to become a great developer? Well, to be honest, I don't think I'm a great developer as such, but I sure have worked with some awesome devs out there. And I have noticed something. Almost all great developers who are rocking it have some characteristics in common, which we will be exploring in this video today. So without further ado, here are 9 ways you can become a great developer in 2021. Tip number 1, go beyond your comfort zone. Your comfort zone is a great inhibitor to your journey in becoming a great developer. One of the ways you can do this is doing projects which do fall under your skill set, but you cannot really figure out how to do it when you think about it in one go. Well, let me give you an example. Let's say you know about Node.js and React.js, but you do not really know how to build a video chat application. So what you should do is you should try to build a video chat app completely from scratch by yourself without the help of online tutorials. You can refer to documentations and research blogs to find out what you need, refer to Stack Overflow whenever you are stuck, and get to work. Only after you have come up with a workable build, now you refer to online tutorials to see how you could have done it better. Believe me folks, I have done it in the exact same way and it helped me a lot in learning new technologies really fast. I only had to put in the effort of going beyond my comfort zone. So, tip number 2, learn to write easy to read and clean code. I know people think that solving data structures and algorithm questions are necessary to crack interviews and jobs, and I get it. It truly is necessary. But what people do is they write dirty code which can only be read by they themselves. That is not really how you should code. Writing clean code is an art and a necessity. Clean coded projects are easier to test, easier to maintain, and features can be easily isolated. You have to understand that in the industry, you will not be on board on a project alone. You will have to collaborate with other developers, so it will become necessary that you write easy to read code, because as long as you don't write clean code, you cannot expect other developers to do the same. Okay, so tip number 3, learn how to test your code. The ultimate purpose of testing process is to provide the customer with the best quality product. The question is then, why do developers need to know about testing? The answer is simple: to ship the project in a better and more sophisticated fashion. One of the coolest things about software testing is that it's just as technical as it is creative. It becomes really important to test your code for bugs so that the end user gets a really high quality product, the exact kind you wanted to provide. Tip number 4, avoid the tutorial hell. This is something a lot of us developers have gone through sometime in our journey. We jump from tutorial to tutorial, get stuck building simple projects, and dive into more tutorials. It mainly happens because they are essentially risk-free. The source code is easily available, and all this helps you stay in your comfort zone. But there is a way to get out of this tutorial hell. Yes, you guessed it, building projects. I will reiterate this every time. The only way to learn development, the right way to learn development, is building as many projects as you can. I'm not saying watching tutorials is bad. I learned basic development from tutorials and blogs, but we should use tutorials as a baseline where we build from, not as a crutch for everything we do in coding. Tip number 5, learn to collaborate. Collaboration is one of the best habits out there in development. It is so much more efficient than grinding on a project alone. It forces you to write code that your team members will understand, and there is a high chance that code developed in collaboration will have much fewer bugs than the same code developed by a single person. And by far, collaboration is the single best way to share knowledge amongst each other. Tip number 6, learn to study documentations. Studying the documentation provided is important so you understand what it is you are really implementing, whether it be an API, client, or another application. Well, I agree, technical documentations is not always easy to navigate, especially for a new coder. I get it. Little of the documentation you find online are written by one person, so you can't get a sense of one person's writing style and adjust accordingly. The documentation contains jargons newbies may not know yet. Terms used in one language may be used a little differently in another. That is why you don't really need to know the ins and outs of the documentation. It is better to study the main parts of the documentation to know what the API does and understand its key usages. Tip number 7, start contributing to open source. Contributing to open source is by far the most recognized way to become a highly skilled developer. It teaches you how to write better, cleaner code. It helps you leverage your career and leads to an all-round development. To start with open source, there are a number of great programs. Google Summer of Code, Major League Hacking Fellowship, the Outreachy program, and the Hacktoberfest are the more famous ones out there. With that, we come to tip number 8. So tip number 8, don't try to memorize things. This one is a very important point because people think that to become a good developer or a great developer rather, you need to keep every bit of code and syntax in mind. Well, that is not really the case. What you do need to know and remember is if you get stuck, where to look, be it documentation, Stack Overflow, past projects, blogs, or GitHub. Highly skilled developers are not expected to know everything. What they are expected of is they can figure out how to solve a problem that is faced by the rest of the team. Tip number 9, always keep an open mind. In the world of development, everything is constantly changing. Preferred tech stacks change, technologies change, and sometimes even languages change. So, in this world where the only constant thing is change, you do need to keep an open mind. You need to be okay if you need to learn new languages, learn different frameworks, or new ways to implement a library. You need to change yourself with the changing times because that is how the development world works. So here we are done with our 9 tips. Comment below which tip you do agree with the most. If you don't, comment that too. Let's have a healthy discussion. Don't forget to drop a like if you really enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you want to see more such content, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye folks.